into my
Okay.
a rocky fellow.
Right. Yeah, well, as we was just saying, they'll play on words in your dreams.
Yeah, they do a lot of that, and I'll give you one more. I had a dream about a man who was on a rainbow bicycle.
So the bicycle was painted like a rainbow, or it was a rainbow.
It had like a rainbow aura
like he was riding a rainbow.
Right. And it was, the handlebars were kind of like rainbow colors, I guess.
Uh-huh.
And he was bringing me so many gifts, this man.
Wow.
And I thought, God, I would really, really love to meet this guy. Because, I mean, he was so
generous.
Generous and ethereal. And a few days later, and I really took great pains. I'm not very good at illustrations. It's just like not my thing. But I took great pains to draw his face because it was so clear.
Uh-huh.
And a few days later, I was telling my late partner, who became my partner in life as well, about this dream. And he said, well, does that rainbow man remind you of anybody you've recently met? And then I got it. It was him.
Uh-huh, I was going to say.
Yeah. So I had asked.
And he knew it was him.
Oh, well, because he was a master of dreams.
Ah.
I mean, he knew more about dreams than most people, you know. So they can bring us, you know, just wonderful news.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I really did. When I had the dream, I did not realize it was him.
Yeah, sometimes, and sometimes you think it's one person that's really somebody else.
Right. Well, dreams do that. They consolidate.
Ah.
And you know, in dreams, they often say that that everybody in a dream initially represents some part of us.
What about when you dream of a deity? Like I did have a dream once about Jesus. And it was at a time in my life where I was feeling and we all have our lows and our highs in life, and we try to keep the highs going as much as possible, but we do hit lows, and our mood changes, all that kind of stuff. And but I was at a low point in my life, and I really feel Jesus came to me in a dream, and I was facing him, but I was feeling very unworthy to be in his presence. And then, and he was glowing. White robe, I mean, so white and light, and he was all lit, you know, really beautiful light coming from him. I'm facing him, he puts his arms around me, pulls me into himself and said, I love you.
Oh, it's beautiful. Dream.
And I will never forget that dream because it was one of the most beautiful dreams I've ever had. And I just said, I love you too, and I looked up at him. And then that was it. That's all there was to it.
A beautiful dream.
And so if somebody has a dream where they see Jesus or the Blessed Mother or whatever deity they believe in, you feel that deity is actually present in their dream?
Well, I mean, when you think of, you know, it depends on your relationship, first of all.
Well, I've always had a very good relationship with you. I've always loved Jesus. And, you know.
Right. So, I mean, that dream was, I think, you know, nobody really has the answer to that, but I do believe that there is that force that there just really comes from our source that is there protecting us when we need it the most. And that was just a magnificent dream that you had.
It was the most magnificent dream I've had.
Yeah.
Besides seeing deceased loved ones, seeing Jesus was amazing.
Right. And that's when you actually, without even realizing maybe, that you had transcended to the cosmic.
Could have been, could be, I guess.
Right.
I guess. It was at a time when I did need something like that to happen, just the reassurance, which it was a very reassuring dream.
Right. And so when you awakened, I mean, that's how you felt in the dream?
Oh, yeah.
And when you awakened, how did you feel?
I felt good, and I felt like I said, wow, Jesus was with me, and he told me he loves me, and despite the fact that things are not going that well at the moment, and things aren't that good for me, and this and that, and I'm maybe a little confused here and there and whatnot, he was telling me that he was there for me.
Yeah.
And that's the time that you really need him to be there.
Of course.
You know?
And so that says an awful lot about, you know, your belief system.
Oh, yeah.
And, you probably, since you remember, and how many years ago was that?
Oh, quite a few years ago. It's got to be 20 years ago.
Yeah. So you've been carrying that with you, and it sounds like it will never leave.
Oh, never, never.
Yeah.
It's something you don't forget.
Yeah. And those dreams can be life-changing.
Yeah.
Because when we think, that all is lost and, that there's no one and we're so alone, and you have a dream like that, you realize that you're never alone.
That's right. You realize that there's somebody that cares.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's unconditional.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So I just love that dream. It's just so wonderful.
It was wonderful.
So wonderful. A lot of times people will ask, well, how accurate are health warnings in dreams?
Okay.
And I would just say, from my own experience, never to disregard a health warning.
Like if somebody dreams that they were diagnosed with something?
With cancer, let's say.
Okay, then they should really just go see a doctor to make sure.
I think so.
Yeah.
But if you are an empathic dreamer and you're having feelings for someone else, you could be picking up. If you have a very close...
In other words, you'd be like...
You take the place of the person.
Empathy.
Yeah. You could be feeling so much empathy for a person that may be going through this that you don't know about in your conscious state.
Yeah.
So it's tricky. I mean, I'll give you...
Could be you, could be somebody else.
It could be somebody else, somebody close to you.
Right, right.
I had one dream that I almost wound up going to a doctor. I didn't because I figured it out, but I had this dream where I had this, it's embarrassing to talk about this, but here we are.
Here we are.
But I had fever. I had a fever in my rectum.
Really?
And I thought, what's going on?
When we were children, our temperature was taken
Right.
there.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But because I was so involved with studying geology, I realized that it was the heat coming from within the bowels of the earth.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So that's why I say you can't standardize. You couldn't look this up in a dream dictionary, and get an answer.
Right.
It's really.
What do you think of dream dictionaries? Do you think that they tell things? People look up a dream, like you dreamt of let's say you dreamt of a fire, and so you look up fire and see what it has to say.
Right.
Do you think that there's any
Well, I mean,
validity in
there are
that?
very few universal symbols. Fire is one, water is another. But I think that, I actually started looking at dream dictionaries because, if you get bitten by this bug, you're so hungry to know what every little thing means. And so I think that they can help to an extent, but they can't give you the answer because you just have to put the whole thing together.
It's true. Sometimes you sit there and you say, that's baloney.
Right. If it doesn't fit, and again, this is such an intuitive way of thinking and feeling that, if it doesn't feel right, if what you're reading in a dictionary doesn't feel right, it's not right.
Right. So we shouldn't put much credence in those. No, okay.
I wouldn't say not to, because if you haven't done the work, out of curiosity, but it's best to really try to mine your own dreams, and I actually have that. It's on my website, and I actually have done workshops on how to do it. It's like a very simple 5-step process of how to take a dream apart. I call it the anatomy of a dream.
Do you want to mention the steps, or is that for the other show?
Well, I could. It does tie in a bit to the Mother Earth show, but let me just see. I call it kaleidoscopic vision. Mm-hmm. So when you think of a kaleidoscope...
Right, turn.
Yeah. So, there are only so many pieces in a kaleidoscope. And when you turn it, the patterns change.
Right.
And the colors change.
Yes.
You turn it one way, it looks one way. You turn it the other way, it takes on a whole different story.
Right.
And I sort of analogize that to our lives from our earliest days, you know, because we come in with a certain set of, we could call it traits, characteristics, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you can even see in little babies with personality things that come up.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And those are there. Those are there from birth, and they continue on, but they continue, they will follow different patterns, just like the kaleidoscope, until we're ready to leave, and depending on your beliefs, possibly after, if we come back. So the 5 steps that I do is, I talk about identifying a breakthrough dream. And that dream could be anything. For me, it was the optic nerve and vision and seeing, being able to see. But what a breakthrough dream does is it can trigger an intuitive feeling just to take a second look at it, because it's so unusual that you can't possibly make any sense of it, like my optic nerve dream. You would look for any unfamiliar images or strange messages, like that was very alien to me, or any striking features that pique your curiosity. So if you're really keeping a dream journal, even if you do it once a week, a dream will come along that is different than any other dream.
Yeah.
And so that would be the first part. The second part would be to isolate bizarre dream fragments. In other words, you're just like going into the dream and you're pulling the pieces out one by one. So for me, it was the acid on my mother's carpets, which translated to toxic waste in the earth. It was the urine on her floor, which again was radioactive waste. Representing.
So you think that what's being said here is that, you know, as human beings, we are causing a lot of bad waste?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, we've done so much radioactive
True.
dumping.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, there's just so. Well, I was going to do that in the next interview, but there's just been so many abuses to our earth.
Yeah. We can go into more depth about it.
Oh yeah. But anyway, it's finding those fragments that are so, that really call your attention. And if you have more than, well, I guess you'd have to have more than one dream. You'd have to have like 2 or 3 or maybe 4 dreams, is to try to pull those out. And things that, the third step would be repetition. So if you have a dream that is constantly repeating various images and words, even feelings, pay attention to the repetition, because then what you do is you tie together these bizarre fragments to the repetition, and then what you've done is you've you formed a little cluster, and you're connecting as you're going along. And then this step would include images, verbal expressions, emotional content, and psi experiences, paranormal experiences. So you're connecting. You're isolating, then you're connecting. And then what happens is you come upon a central theme. And for me, in the very early part, that my central theme was my family matrix, which was leading me into all of this. So I think that that could be a very popular theme, because people are always going back to whatever issues they had in their families. And it doesn't always have to be negative. There are some people who have had perfectly harmonious family backgrounds with just love.
Oh, there's quite a few families like that.
There's a lot of families like that. And very often, because the child is so accustomed to that, when they get into the real world, the outside world, it doesn't always work that way.
Yeah.
And that could create...
Well, that's true, yeah.
I know
I know what you mean.
So, and then what happens is once you've identified this central theme, maybe it's a relationship with a parent or a child. Then comes the best step of all, is the materialization, because now you've developed a sense of vigilance, and so you're aware of all the signs around you. And very often what can happen is that you will see something in waking life that was in your dream.
Well, yeah, I guess that could happen. So are all these things covered in your book here?
Yes.
All of this is covered
There's
in
a
the
whole
book?
chapter on this.
Now, if somebody wants to get the book, they would Google you, right? Judy B. Gardiner, Gardiner.
Yes,
And they'd be able to...
Judy B. Gardiner. They can search Judy B. Gardiner.
Right. They do a search for Judy B. Gardiner.
Right.
And you'll be able to find the book, Lavender, our Entwined Adventure in Science and Spirit. And so if they search Judy B. Gardiner, Gardiner, they can possibly look into the book. I want to ask you, though, now, there are certain dreams that people have that a lot of people have, like the same dream. Like, I've never had some of these dreams, but like some people say that it's a common dream. Any common dreams that a lot of people do have. Like some people have a supposedly common dream where, they're in the middle of a crowd and they discover that they're naked, things like that. What do you make of these common dreams that a lot of people will have that are similar to each other's?
You mean like repeating dreams that one person has, or dreams that many people
both.
have?
Well, dreams that many people have, like for instance, like I said, finding yourself in a crowd and realizing you're naked or something like that.
Right, well.
Or dream about drowning or something, dreams that en masse people have.
Well, those are basically fear-related dreams, and I think that we're right now probably having more of those dreams because of what's happening in our world. There's a lot to be
for sure
worried about today.
Yeah.
And house burning down. It's just it's fear. Naked is fear of exposure.
Right.
House burning down, fire, conflagration. There's a universal theme that I've heard so many times where somebody's always late, can't catch the bus, can't catch the train, missing the plane, not being able to find things, and
all these nerve-wracking things.
Yeah, it's life, but then if you get really deeply into the dream, you realize that you can overcome some of this. Most of it.
So in other words, like a lot of people have the same experiences then?
Oh yes, that goes back to the universal mind. The Upanishads. Or the collective unconscious.
Right.
Yeah, because we're all so connected.
That's true.
We really don't realize it. I think we're beginning to now, though.
Yeah, well, because of the time that we're in.
Right.
In 2012 and all that.
I think the psychic ability in dreams is really expanding now. Yeah. Because I've had people read this book and then they write to me and they tell me, they had something that is very similar to this. And there's more, to some of the things that are in the book. They'll come back and they'll say, well, oh my goodness, I dreamt about, and so forth.
A lot of things resonate with people then.
Right. So it just tells you that, we're all, it's really about survival. So when we have a personal dream, it's really about survival of self. And with this more cosmic dream, it's survival of the species. That's what we're worried about. And it's showing up in people's dreams.
Yeah.
So I think that those common dreams they're very real for people who are having them. And they need to be worked out. It's that 3-act play. It'll be introduced as maybe a house is on fire. And then when it gets into the, this is all hypothetical, but when it gets into the development, that's probably the part that will hold a lot of the answers as to why they think the house is burning down.
It could be that a relationship is
Yeah,
crashing,
yeah.
or
Right.
or a job is
Right.
is crashing. Or something.
And fire can be anger, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And so then things symbolize other things.
Oh yeah, I
and-
mean it's all symbolic. It's literally a language of symbols, and it's learning a new language is basically what it is. And it's not hard once we start doing it.
Yeah, well, I think that if you
It's really not
have a
hard.
dream and you remember it and you think about it, you sit and maybe meditate on it or something.
Yes.
Concentrate on it and give it some thought. You might get some answers about things going on in your life.
Exactly. You should get, I think, a lot of answers are right there. They just need to be, you know, it's like being a detective,
Uh-huh.
you know?
Yeah.
And you want to crack your own code.
Yeah.
And you will realize after a while that that's what I was saying about the repetition. You will see certain things repeating and repeating and repeating.
Certain themes like?
Themes. Well, it can be, let's say, take a piano.
Yeah.
And it can be, you know, a piano can conjure up different images for different people, but the person having that repeating dream may have had some childhood experience, good or bad, with the piano.
Or maybe they took lessons and they regret that they don't do it anymore.
Right.
And they really like the piano, but
Right.
they gave it up and
Right.
they regret it or something like
Right.
that.
It's really exactly paying attention to what the images are. And we're probably getting close to finish here.
We have about a little over 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. But I mean, I will say that the dream really has its own agenda.
Uh-huh.
You know, you can't manipulate it.
Yes, because some people think that that dreams are controllable, that people
Well, I
can...
mean, people do lucid dreaming, and you know, I don't
Now,
know
lucid
enough
means
about.
you know that you're
that
sleeping
you're-
and dreaming.
You know that you're asleep. I mean, you know that you're dreaming, but you're aware that you're dreaming while you're dreaming.
Right,
So you have a conscious awareness of it.
right.
And
I never had that kind of thing happen, actually, to tell you the truth. I guess people have, though.
well, they have them, and you know they try to you say control. They try to control them and change an outcome. And I just have a strong feeling about that, although many people follow this, that our dreams are pure, they're natural. That's probably the only thing that we cannot control or manipulate. And it's a natural healing function. And the only way that I can see where that would be helpful would be if somebody is really seriously ill, or if they're concerned about a child that's seriously ill, trying to change
The outcome.
the outcome. But to try to get in and do that and say, you know, I don't like the boyfriend I have, or I don't like the job that I have, or I need more money, or, you know.
So you'll dream about a new boyfriend or a new job or more money, and it'll happen.
I mean, that's just my own personal opinion.
Yeah.
A lot of people endorse lucid dreaming.
Well, what about, triggers? Like, say, for instance, you went shopping, you're in the grocery store, and you see something happen, and it triggers off something in a dream that you'll go to sleep that night, and say you saw a can fall off the shelf, and so you'll dream that somebody got hit in the head with a can or something, and it's really bad, or whatever. I mean, something will trigger off a dream that really might not have anything to do with you. Or do you say that it does anyway?
Well, I mean, if we're the dreamer,
Yeah.
we write the script, right?
Yeah.
So we wouldn't be having the dream unless it had something to do with us. Unless it's empathic.
Oh, so even something that might trigger something off, it has nothing to do with us, and we
Well, I
won't
mean,
dream
you could
about
have
it.
a dream, you know, you could have a precognitive dream about an earthquake.
Okay.
Well, that doesn't have anything to do with you per se,
Right.
but there might be something in you that has
That's
that.
agitated? Mm-hmm. Ah, uh-huh. Yeah, I see. But every dream that we would have then has something to do with us
Right.
and our life and our surroundings and whatever's going on with us.
Well, I mean, unless, you know, you have a person with, their gifted psychic abilities,
Uh-huh.
they can see things that have not to do with them. but I was going to do that in the third.
Yeah, well, that's what we'll do it then.
Right.
Well, we're winding down anyway.
That's a very good question. But yes, you can if you are particularly psychic.
You can
dream about things but everything does relate back to you, because I'm dreaming about geology, and I'm like a member of this earth.
Well, we all are, right?
Right. So eventually it does wind back to you.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Sure. So in other words, whatever we dream has something to do with us.
With us, right.
And
or a relationship.
Or
something in our world.
Okay, I get it.
That may not be totally personal, but because we're all part of one.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So now you say that everybody dreams, and that's that, even if people don't think that they do, and we all dream.
We all dream.
And it's good to keep something on hand so that if we wake up from a dream, we can mark things down and then try to decipher it later.
Exactly. It's just, it's kind of a waste, if you have the dream, not to record some part of it.
That's a good idea. Okay. Well, this has been such an interesting conversation, Judy, and we do have at least 2 more shows coming up now to continue our show about dreams, and we're going to next time we're going to go in depth into the book and exactly what's in it. And we're going to, although we did talk about some of the stuff now.
Yes, we did.
Okay, but I want to thank you for being here, and we look forward to the next couple of shows in this series that we will explore more about dreams.
Oh, I just remembered, the second part is Mother Earth is Calling.
Mother Earth is Calling. So that'll be the next show will be Mother Earth is Calling. And in the meantime, thank you for watching, and have a good night.
And thank you, Christine.
You're welcome.